Good morning. So day 2 in Louisville. We are at the Grow House, which is literally a little house. Let's see if you can see. Hold on. Okay, so here we are, and this is the house. I have to get it from the outside, but there's just like little tables inside. It's really cute. There's literally no signage, so you wouldn't even know that is a place unless you were here. But look at this pretty garden that we're next to. All the daisies, so pretty. But we're actually in my old neighborhood. Right down the street is where I used to live. In fact, when we're done, we might even take a ride by there just for old time's sake. Ew, Aunt. And here is our breakfast. So apparently, they're like fresh made biscuits and ham and egg and cheese. And I got bacon, egg, and cheese with avocado. Yummy. So this is where we lived. This was our living room right here. This room was my bedroom. This is also the apartment that I got bit by the spider in. Yay! And then this tree was brand new because there was a huge tree that was right here. And during the storm, my car was parked there and a huge massive limb fell on it, and they had to come and they took down the entire tree and they planted a seedling. So that will tell you how long ago this was, because this was literally a seedling when they planted it, and this is how big it is. So that was like 12 years ago. Crazy. Anyway, this was our apartment. This is the street, and you used to walk down there, and there's a school down there and a little shop called Burgers. That was my mom's favorite place to go when she was here, because they had ham salad and really good little amazing rolls. They were delicious. Anyway, so yeah, all the memories. And Josh left his bike right out in front of our door, and literally somebody came and took the bike. Like, he saw the people take the bike. It was nuts.
There's a rail in the back.
Oh yeah, that's right. Mine was chained to the rail in the back, and that one was stolen. So yeah, 2 bikes stolen right from this. And the funny thing was, so when my mom came, she was talking about that there's no central air in them because they're really old. These were all built in the 40s. So they still look like they were built in the 40s, but they were really pretty hardwood floors and beautiful crown molding in the ceilings. They were beautiful apartments. But when she came, I always, like, you know, growing up in Miami, you don't leave the windows and doors open. Plus, this is not the safest neighborhood. Like, it's just not. And it's beautiful, just not totally safe. So she was like, you have to open the windows. So that's how the spider wound up coming in. And I got the spider bite in my head that I pulled a fang out from my head a year later. And yeah, it was kind of funny. Look at all those hydrangeas, so pretty. This is such a pretty road. That's beautiful. Little garden. Wow, there's a lot of. Yeah. School's out for summer. Yeah, but now during the storm, do you remember which house it was? It was for the one that got the tree down. I think it was one of these. It was right across from the school. Oh, in fact, I think it was this one right here. The one that, yeah, and got baby trees instead. Yeah, it was this one. So the same thing, these trees that are planted here in front of this house, it was this house right here. So these little baby trees that are now planted used to be this size. Hold up. As big as this, okay? So there was, this tree was in front of this house, and during that same storm that knocked out our power, it was a downburst. I mean, all of a sudden, the wind kicked up, trees were coming down, that a tree that size literally came down, boom, smack dab in the middle of that house, and literally cut it in half. But obviously they've redone it. It was crazy. It was absolutely insane, the amount of destruction that was around. And here is Louisville Collegiate. Holy cow, look at all the construction they're doing. But this is one of the most prestigious, let's be real, snobby schools in Louisville. It's like how much does it cost to go to kindergarten here? It's like, yeah, some crazy amount, like $15,000 or something. It's the highest one around. It's pretty. So yeah, like I said, Celebration reminds me of Louisville a whole super lot, because here are all the houses. Who's that guy? Hello, you. A bird flew down just for you. So pretty.
Don't have those in Florida, do you?
Robin redbreast? I'm sure we do. Dear Lord, they all come down for this winter. There's more birds down there than you have up here. I guess we have parrots and super cool things like that. This? What's that? Oh, Lord, yeah, there we go. So this is my absolute favorite house in Louisville. It's just so spectacular and beautiful. Love this. And this is our street, our old street, and tree, just like I said. But these are all. Oh yeah, look at that. Let's see.
Big tree.
We're hit. Bam.
Got the whole side of that tree too.
Yep.
Literally.
Yep. Crazy. I guess had some bad storms up here. Anyway.
Big one in my front yard.
Yep. We should go to Pee Wee Valley. So here's Pee Wee. We should go to Pee Wee Valley because I've told more people about that story. Everybody wants to see that. Isn't this? No, that's not the apartments, is it? There they are. It's the yellow ones.
Yeah.
Alright, I'm going to tell you this. Look at this. Isn't that just beautiful? I mean, just storybooks. So pretty. Gorgeous. Okay, so David's going to tell you guys a story about... No, you tell him. Okay, so in 2005 there was a movie that came out called Elizabethtown, starring Orlando Bloom, Kirsten Dunst, and Susan Sarandon, with cameos by Paula Deen and a host of other people. Well, this lady was actually a client of David's, customer of David's, and she rented out, this is the left apartment, right? This apartment right here. So what she said was, I'm going to keep walking while I'm telling you about this, but if you watch the movie, Orlando Bloom is inside an apartment. It's kind of sparse, kind of empty. He's got like a what do you call it? A bicycle type thing, stationary bike type things. So he's riding the bike. Well, that apartment is actually not in Seattle. It is this apartment right here that I just showed you a second ago. So what she told David was that she made in a week. They were here for a week filming, which was pretty cool because literally our apartment is right here at the end of this street. But she told David that in 1 week she made more than she would have for the entire year renting out that apartment. So it was pretty cool. But anyway, aside from that, Orlando Bloom was literally right down the street from my house. Yep, that's exactly right. So cool. Did I ever get to see him? No. Maybe I'll take a trip to Universal one of these days and I'll see him there. Look at this. I mean, come on. So pretty. We love Louisville. This is beautiful. This was really my dream place to live for a while. I mean, it's still, this area is gorgeous, but celebrations just like it, and I'm okay with that. And it's really pretty. Every season in this part of Louisville is gorgeous. It's so, so pretty. And the fall, yeah. Look at the detail on this. I mean, it looks like Walt himself made it, doesn't it? Look at that. Incredible. So pretty. There you go. So that was my apartment on this side, and this side was my neighbor's apartment. And you go down there.
Hey, guess what?
And park.
And you had your bike stolen right here.
Yeah, and guess what? Literally, the day we moved in, the bikes got put in there before we came back. Before David and Tyler were bringing stuff over, by the time they got back, my bike had been stolen from here. So that's bike number 3 that was stolen in Louisville. Hey, guess what? Mine's not been stolen in Orlando. So this is the creepiest house ever. They really did a nice job fixing it up.
That
But
looks
in this
great.
house, every so often you can... Okay, and this is the church that owned the house. This place is super haunted too. Down those places down there, those houses, that's the one where the lady said that her ghost plays piano. Freaking crazy people. Huh? Oh yeah, this big, the big one right here. You can see it. That one's super haunted too. They're all haunted. Let's be real. This freaking Pee Wee Valley. Yeah, here's the driveway. Okay, good. That's okay. Well, I think we'll need to turn. There's the creepy driveway. No word of a lie. The battery literally died as we were getting ready to pull in here. Yeah, it never looked this bad when we were here, ever. All the branches.
Church probably keeps this cut. These people are responsible for all this.
They don't do a
They
thing.
don't care.
The creeps. Just. There's always crap back there. There's the house. Most haunted house ever. Super creepy. Oh, they cut the flash. Look at that.
They left the big line. Oh, there's a car behind us. Seriously? Is that a driveway?
God, it was just as crazy. Alright, it was way nicer than this. That's the garage right there, and that's the haunted place right there. Pee Wee Valley is haunted. Let's just be real. It is super, super haunted, super creepy. It's just got that creepy feel. I used to think it was super cute and quaint until I lived here. And I'm like, oh, that's not super cute and quaint. That's super creepy and haunted. Go up and ask them, so anybody been knocking at your door? Your windows, your roof, your ceiling? These creepy people. Oh my gosh. Creepy neighbors. But look at how cute that one is. They really fixed it up nicely.
Sure did. Look at that little gazebo out there. That's really
And then this is Central Park that they fixed up, which looks adorable.
And after they built it, decided it was on the wrong location. Isn't that what they said?
What, the park?
The path that they had to lead back, they said it led back to the original driveway going back, and they said, oh, that was wrong. It looks nice though, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, it does look very nice. The Pee Wee Valley. See, this is why I loved it here, because it was so cute and quaint and adorable and Central Park and like the little women's club, and it looks so cute. And then, no. All the haunted.
Just for the record, I'm not superstitious. I'm not a big ghost person at all. But I will say there was some strange stuff in this place.
Strange stuff. Okay.
I couldn't. But it did freak me out.
Okay, well, it did freak me out. So here's the story for those of you who don't know. So, it was the week of Halloween, and it was, I don't know, some night. Josh had been watching Ghost Adventures all day long. And in that house, you saw where the garage was. I said that back area. So Josh had been watching, like I said, Josh was watching Ghost Adventures. That the brick part, that's the original part of the Confederate home. Now, the home itself burned down, and the fires burned so hot in the Confederate home that the water tower that used to be in the back exploded and wound up about 10 miles down the road, like shards of it wound up there. It was a huge, like, 4-alarm fire. They were bringing in the fire trains from Louisville and dousing it to get the waters down. So, anyway, the only part that stood was what was originally part of the laundry room. Well, we figured, I was like, okay, well...
Which was Josh's room.
Right, which was Josh's room. It's the original standing part. So, the deal is that nobody died in that fire. So, you're like, okay, cool. Well, next door to us, that house, that was where the hospital was and things like that. Well, where we lived, it was fine. And we originally got...
Home.
Right. Yeah. Well, not necessarily. It was for persona non grata, who were the Confederate soldiers. So it wasn't a retirement home.
Well,
totally different story. Not a retirement home. Learn your history. Anyway.
A retirement home for old soldiers.
Not a retirement. No, it wasn't. Wait. So now that he said all that, let me explain. It was not a retirement home. It was a Confederate home for persona non grata. So long story short, after the Civil War, the Confederates were persona non grata. They had lost everything. Their families disowned them. They had nothing. So for those people, there were 3 states that created Confederate homes for the Civil War soldiers who had no place to go. They had no jobs. They had nothing. And so they were able to stay there. They had to be in good health. They could not be alcoholics. They couldn't have any mental issues, anything else like that. Those people wound up in Anchorage, actually, in the insane asylum down there. But here, they were all healthy. They were younger guys. They just had nowhere to go, and they lost everything. Because, after the Civil War, Confederates were pretty much vanquished from anything. So that's what the Confederate homes were for. Anyway, long story longer, apparently. So one night, we're sitting there, and David was coming over. Josh and I were home. Josh had been watching Ghost Adventures all day long. The next thing you know, all of a sudden Josh is in his room, and the middle had this like big long kind of galley kitchen, and there was a massive dining room, and the other side was Josh's room. So he's in his room, I was in the kitchen, and it sounded like, I can't even like, and I'm like, what the heck is that? And so I was like, Josh, quit throwing that. It sounded like Josh was throwing a ball. He had like a big, kind of a bubble, what do you call those? Skylight. But it was plastic. So it sounded like he had a tennis ball and was throwing it up at the skylight, because the skylight, his bed was right under the skylight. So I'm like, Josh, knock it off. And he goes, I'm not doing anything. And I was like, well, whatever you're doing. I said, quit throwing that ball. That's what I said. And he goes like, I'm not throwing a ball. I was like, whatever you're doing, quit doing it. He goes, I'm not doing anything. So I walk into I was like, what? And he goes, I'm not doing anything. And you still hear. And I'm like, what the heck? What's going on? And he's like, I don't know. So I go into his room, and he is sitting crisscrossed on his bed playing video games. And you still hear. I'm like, what the heck? And I was like, oh, what an idiot. I said, I bet you $1 million that's David. He's outside. There's a big walnut tree that's right in front of, well, one of the big trees that you saw there. Not anywhere near close to the house, in actuality. So I'm like, what an idiot. I said, I bet you $1 million that's David. Nice squirrel. He's throwing walnuts up at the skylight. So I walk outside just in time. You just saw how long that driveway is. Just in time to see the headlights of David's truck coming up the driveway. And I was like, what the heck? So I stand outside, wait for David to come in, and he's like, what's going on? I'm like, I thought you were throwing walnuts at the roof. I said, somebody's on the roof. And he's like, what? So he grabs the ladder off, goes up on the roof. He's like, there's nobody there. We go inside, and we're eating dinner, and all of a sudden you hear. So he's like, what the heck? So he goes out, runs around the house, and he's like, there's nobody there. I don't understand. So we go back in Josh's room, and you hear. So he's like, get me a broom. So he goes, I bet you, he goes, you know what it is? And he goes, I bet there are raccoons up in the skylight. So there was the skylight, and then there was a little attic that kind of went like across and up, like right in front of the skylight. And because it was kind of like a slanted roof in Josh's room. So he goes, I bet you $1 million there's raccoons up in the skylight. So he goes, we go get the broom, and he goes on the ceiling. And all of a sudden, comes back from the ceiling. So we kind of looked at each other, and I'm like, that's some smart raccoons. So he goes on the other side and goes, and then from the other side of the attic comes. So he's like, what the heck? So he knocks again, and from behind the brick wall that's about this thick, I mean, it's a huge concrete, 3 bricks thick concrete brick wall from the garage, clear as day, comes. And we're like, what the heck? So I run out at this point, and I run in and flip on the lights of the garage. Well, the garage door has an actual like lock on it. So I had to like get the key, unlock the door, walk in, and I'm like, there's no way somebody could get in the garage. There's a lock on the door, plus the garage doors were closed. And I turn on the lights, there's nobody there. But yet there's knocking clear just like that from the garage door. So I'm like, what the heck? So we go back in, and now he knocks on the garage door, and when David knocked, it sounded almost muffled because it's brick. I mean, it was just full on brick. So he knocks on the brick, and I am now standing in front of the French glass pane windows that were huge, like French pane doors that were right there at Josh's room, and he knocks on the brick, and from behind me on the glass comes, and I was like, oh my gosh. So we run out. It happened all night long, like the whole time. So it was the creepiest thing ever. Well, I never hear it again until October 31st. I was like, all right, so I started praying over my God, in the name of Jesus, get whatever this is out of here. Never heard it again until October 31st. It's Halloween. I'm sitting on the couch. Josh was in his room. Dave wasn't there. And all of a sudden, on the only piece of brick, it is actually the original chimney that was still left, but they had since filled it in. I'm hearing. And I'm like, what the heck is that? So And that was it. I never heard it again. We wound up breaking up in July. I move out, whatever. Anyway, last year I was subbing, and it was around Halloween. So I'm telling not this past Halloween, Halloween before that. So I'm telling the kids about this story, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we want to see it." So I was like, "Yeah, I'll look up the house for you." So I'm looking up pictures of Pee Wee Valley Confederate home. So if you want to look it up, you can. It's Pee Wee Valley Confederate home, Pee Wee Valley, Kentucky Confederate home. So I'm looking up the pictures, and I wound up coming across this story that I had never seen before about this lady something Dixon. And it's the story about this woman who had been a madam or something in Texas, and she moved to New York, but she loved the Confederates, and her husband used to visit Kentucky all the time, and she wound up giving this huge amount of money to the Confederates, and she used to come all the time. Well, she wound up donating the money to build a dance hall for the Confederates so they could have a party. Well, turns out that there was a reunion of all the Confederate soldiers every year on October 31st. Every year. She would always arrive the week of October 31st. Now, which is creepy as it is, but when she died, they used to write her letters and she would write them back. So they have like all the letters and stuff. The last letter that they wrote her was, Ms. Dixon, we owe everything for you. The Confederates love you. Thank you so much for everything that you've done for us. And just remember that we will always be here waiting with open arms. All you have to do is knock. So I freaked out. I'm like, oh my gosh. So that's who it was. It was just Ms. Dixon looking for her party. If I had known that, boy, I would have been all good. Here I am thinking it's a Confederate soldier. I like, out damn Yankee, So
Never bothered me.
yeah. Because he didn't live there, but it was awfully creepy. And Josh was like, yeah, it didn't bother me either. And he was like, I'm like, how did you even sleep in that room? Like, I was freaking out the whole time. But anyway, that's the Pee Wee Valley story. Oh, and then on top of that, at Christmas time, we wind up they had a big Christmas party, and David's talking to this lady, and she's like, oh, have you guys met the ghost yet? And he's like, what? And she's like, oh yeah, there's a ghost there. Knocks on the door and turns the lights off and on. And I was like, dude, the day those lights go off and on is the day I'm out. And then Josh told me the other day, he's like, no, the lights always used to go on. And I'm like, what? He goes, don't you remember? He goes, you used to blame me all the time. And he was like, but you'd get up in the morning and the lights were on in the house. And I'm like, yeah, I forgot about that. He was like, yeah, the lights were always on. He goes, I knew it was the ghost. I was like, oh my God. But that was the lady that was like, oh, they're wonderful. My ghost plays piano every night. I'm like, these people are nuts. So that's the story of Pee Wee Valley. Super, super, super haunted. Not gonna lie. So we just met Karen and Allison for dinner at Dragon King's Daughter, or DKD, which is kind of like the theater place to go. But I didn't film it because, quite frankly, it was just fun to see them. So we did that, and now we're getting gas, and we are heading over to Floyd Central for 42nd Street. I'm so excited!